We have a new album called Distant Voices, New Worlds, Songs, Landscapes and Histories. How can we make those voices sing again and rediscover them through contemporary music? We've got 4 new songs written especially for the Orchestra of Sound and Light, using text specifically about the South Downs.
I chose Phyllis Wheatley's poem, A Hymn to the Evening, because it's about communing with the countryside and her take on nature as divinity, as a place of having a spiritual experience. I mean, I see music as a very kind of sacred act. In terms of the poem that I chose, and Phyllis Wheatley, and what she was interested in is conveying the beauty of life and the beauty of nature, the beauty of the countryside that surrounds her. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Yeah, convey
Right.
her
Yeah.
feeling of walking through the landscape. Yeah.
I have a very dear friend, Valerie Whittington, who is a poet who's lived in Brighton for most of her life. She said to me one afternoon, "Evelyn, the larks are out, you've got to come and hear them." And she drove me onto the downs where there were larks so that I could record the sound. And I find for me that every word has such resonance and depth and meaning that I don't need that many of them. I'm trying to imagine myself into sort of the otherness of a different species, and what would it be like to actually be a lark. And I know that they nest in the ground and that they then shoot up into the sky, and so they have this very kind of double experience, it seems to me. First, the very like close up in the ground with the sticks and dirt and insects and whatever, and their nest and whatever, and then shooting up into the sky and getting this incredible view. And so phrases like hard pressed chalk, so bright it hurts our eyes. I found certain phrases that I wanted to repeat. So bright, so bright, so bright was repeated a lot. The sun is exploding.
And the one that moved me the most was the sonnet by Charlotte Turner Smith. I just found it really striking and really vivid. And it actually doesn't leave, well, to me, it didn't leave too much to the imagination. And you could tell she's got a deep fondness for the South Downs. It's almost as if it's her solace. You can imagine her going for walks through the different seasons, because she talks about the seasons and how it affects the land. When you reach winter, the bleakness of it, the withered, how things look withered and dried up, the bournes are dry. You know, she describes the chalkiness. The descriptions are amazing. And the birds of prey, there's an airiness at times. And there is a bleakness, actually. I wanted to touch upon the period when she was writing this, and then gradually draw it further and further towards our times, take it all the way through, to jazz and Latin music, which I'm involved in, and just make the music complement each other.
This is actually my first CD of a classical piece I've written, so this is quite amazing for me. Ars Subtilia, Ars Nova, sort of a bit of, but Ars Subtilia is the more subtle art, and Ars Nova is the new art, I think. This was very radical sort of music, very rhythmically complex, very stylistically, it's very distinct. Yeah, so I just liked that music, so I wanted to write something inspired by it.
I live in Lewes, close to the South Downs, and in fact, as well as having a long history of a relationship with people, but there's also a huge cultural heritage, a cultural history, sort of almost naturally from living in the landscape. From all those kind of feelings and awareness, I suppose I developed a project that was a little bit partly about an education project and partly about a songs-based project to explore that idea of history, culture and landscape. There is this amazing archive called the Mass Observation Archive, which is based at the University of Sussex in a special library called the Keep. And since 1937, they've been inviting everyday people, people who aren't famous, to write about their experiences, talking about everyday life, going shopping, how annoying the neighbors are, that the usual stuff. And then you suddenly get these, and I wonder what's going to happen in, talking in 1938 about the international situation, because people read the papers as well. I was reading it through for some reference from people who were based in the South Downs or in towns or villages across the region. And I eventually found Marianne Robinson, who in 1937 was in a place called Felpham, which is near Bognor Regis, which is just in a modest seaside bungalow, which is furnished, so it must be rented. And she gets annoyed by the get-rich-quick bourgeoisie who all let their bungalows in summer to come and go visitors, and they come down in their shorts, beach slacks, sunbathing garments, and bathing suits, and mostly burn bright pink. So she's kind of like, other people are quite annoying, but then suddenly she starts talking about how life is annoying, but then she suddenly looks out into her garden and sees the South Downs, and this raises her spirits. They're all just singing to us from different moments in time, and essentially talking about the transcendent experience of just a sunset or hearing birds in the blazing sunlight. For the project with the Orchestra Sound and Light, we took a sort of updated version of the flute, clarinet, violin, cello, and piano lineup, and literally a use of contemporary instruments and electric and electronic possibilities.